what's going on today, guys? In this video I want to cover the Elantra GT N Line and why this is a pretty substantial upgrade for the current or outgoing Elantra GT Sport. But before we get talking about the Elantra GT N Line, as many of you guys know, I have the previous generation Elantra GT, which is the Elantra GT from 2013 through 2017. Now my family also owns a 2018 Elantra GT Sport, which is the first year for the current generation of Elantra GT here in the US. So as some of you guys might know, there's a Facebook group for Elantra GT owners where they can post their problems, post their thoughts. It's just basically a big group where we have conversations about, anything that people want to talk about relating to the Elantra GTs. Starting off with my car, or the previous generation Elantra GT, it wasn't something that people felt really excited to drive. It definitely is not an enthusiast-minded car. There was a decent amount of problems with it over time, and there still kind of are problems developing with my car and others. But the suspension design wasn't that good overall, especially out back. The powertrain, the engine wasn't great in 2013s. It got slightly better in the with the 2-liter upgrade. But overall, it is definitely not a performance-oriented car. Now fast forward to the 2018 Elantra GT Sport. That car gained the much-needed 1.6-liter turbocharged engine and the independent rear suspension. Now, between those two things, the driving dynamics of the car are like 100% different than my car. The car has just enough power to have fun with. It's peppy. The driving dynamics and handling are just, really good on that car, and it's something that, it's starting to lean towards an enthusiast-minded car, where you can still easily daily drive that thing, but you can put some modifications on it and, it's pretty fun to drive. Being in that Facebook group with all the other owners, I remember when that car got announced, we weren't all thrilled on the design of the car, but given the, changes to the suspension and the powertrain, people were pretty excited about the release of that car, given it had those changes that we all realized were missing from this car in North America. Now here we are with the 2019 Elantra GT unveiling, and again the base model goes pretty much unchanged, but there's been rumors for a while now that the Elantra GT N Line was coming to North America, and we just saw a few weeks ago that Canada did indeed get it, and we learned today that the US is now getting the Elantra GT N Line, which is going to replace the current or outgoing 2018 Elantra GT Sport model. Now here's why the Elantra GT N Line is a pretty substantial upgrade compared to the Elantra GT Sport. Now the N Line is meant to slot in between a base model and an N version. So the Elantra GT is based on the i30 overseas, in which they do have an i30N version of the car. Now here in the US and North America, we are getting the Veloster N, in which there is no N line for that car yet, but I wouldn't doubt that there is going to be one. Maybe at the R-Spec level, something like that. But the Elantra GT N line is basically going to be replacing the GT Sport, but almost being given an upgrade in terms of performance, where it's going to slot in between the GT Sport and the N car. So given that the N line is not going to be, the full N version, it still retains the, all of the Elantra GT Sports, stuff from 2018 in terms of the technology, the, the 1.6-liter turbo, the independent rear suspension. But in addition to all those things that we loved about the GT Sport and that made that car so good, they're giving it even more performance for $50 increase in price, but this car is gaining all these other things that, being an enthusiast, I wanted from the i30N. Now in terms of equipment from the i30N from overseas, this car is getting I believe the front and rear bumpers. It's getting the dark headlights, which, I know that some of those owners really liked and I liked personally. I think those look phenomenal. And it's gaining some interior treatment, like the seats have an N stitching, the steering wheel I think is a little different, the shifter is a little different, but they all have some N logoing on it. I might be missing some things on the inside it's getting, but it's gaining stiffer engine mounts, stiffer transmission mounts. I think there's something about a stiffer roll rod mount. It's getting Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires on the manual equipped cars. The stability bars, front and rear, are being modified. The spring rates on the car, front and rear, are being modified. It's got new dampening tuning. All these things are being, upgraded in a sense to give you a better level of performance from the car while still, retaining the 1.6 liter turbo and the independent rear suspension. I mean, I'm not sure why people are, considering this, not a downgrade, but people are playing it off like it's not much of a change, when in reality, the car is going to be nearly identically priced to the outgoing Elantra GT Sport. So with all that being said, I think we should be embracing the Elantra GT N Line for what it is. Yeah, it doesn't have the full N performance, but, if people, show that car support, I don't doubt in the future the i30N will come over as the Elantra GT N alongside the Veloster N, and who knows, they could end up with quite a few N cars, full N cars in North America or the US if, these cars are received fairly well. Now, with all that being said, I can't wait to check out the car in person once it hits the lots. I know dealers have these cars already here in the US, and hopefully you guys have a change of opinion about the car, because, current owners, I get that, they already own the Elantra GT Sport, so there might not be enough reason to, necessarily trade in and upgrade for the N line. But I think people who haven't bought either one and maybe cross-shopping the Elantra GT Sport with, other entries into the segment, I think they should take a really strong look at the Elantra GT N line, given that it not only looks better on the outside, but it's going to also perform better than probably several of the competitors. So, for the same price that they were looking at before. So I really think that should give people a reason to check out the Elantra GT N line. So hopefully you guys know a little bit more about the Elantra GT N line and get a little bit of a perspective of where I'm trying to come from in relation to, I guess, viewing this car and the outgoing GT Sport. Now, I've included a link down in the description to the Hyundai press release for this car, which details all the changes to the Elantra GT and the GT N line. So if you guys want to go ahead and check that out, there's a lot of good information in that link below. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of the changes to the Elantra GT lineup and of the new Elantra GT N line. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.